his focus. But something was broken, we lost all our hope and we ditched it in Taiwan. Too many mistakes, slowly we moved on. And down by the lake with the beacons and chains in old Canada, where all of this was born, oh Canada. Rustic cottages were our home and all. We took of the chain and we turned it. We took all the fees and we burned it. Hey, Booterin, I think we earned it. Oh, yeah. Panda Bear has been turned on, and she's singing the merge song. Carbon footprint is all gone. That's why we're singing the merge song. Cacophony of choices, we had to be ruthless. So deafening were the voices that said that the panda had no leg to stand on. We did our very best, and for a down in Greece, buried under stress, out on the beach and debating the pieces, and oh, we carried on. Though the road was long, we carried on. You know, those voices never stopped, and oh, they said it would never be coming, but they didn't see the debugging, and pandas are not known for running. Oh, oh yeah. Panda Bear has been turned on, and she's singing the merge song. Carbon footprint is all gone. That's why we're singing the merge song. Panda Bear has been turned on, and she's singing the merge song. The carbon footprint is all gone. That's why we're singing the merge song. Singing the merge song,
GM Anon,
Hi, good
welcome to
morning.
today's episode of MarketCapping. Before we begin, I just wanted to remind you that I'm not your mom, and nor are any of the speakers on this show. Nothing you hear today is financial advice. You should be a big kid now. Make your own decisions, do your own research, and assume every crypto coin you buy will result in complete losses. If you ever plan on holding anyone other than yourself responsible for your choices, please navigate to the top of your browser window where you'll find the friendly red close button. And now, let the episode begin.
All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to MarketCapping. Small Cappy here.
Am, how's it going? Good morning.
Good, good. I can hear you loud and clear. I think we're good to go. So yeah, today we have one of a more regular episode. Just me and you going through some updates. I think it's been a while since we just chatted. We did 2 episodes with guests, so figured it's time to just do an update on the alpha of the week or whatever is going on. I just noticed my VTuber has this like weird thing on the side, so let me close that. There you go. Boom.
Cool.
So yeah, why don't we start with well, we just did the merge song, so why don't we start with the merge? How are you feeling? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, it was exciting. I think you were awake. I was pretty much shit posting through the entire thing, but it was super cool to see. I don't know. Like, I mean, it's been talked about for so long, and seeing it finally like happen was pretty cool live. So I was kind of nerding out, and it was like, I don't know, 4 a.m. here, 4 a.m., something like that when it actually took place. So like I was exhausted, but I mean, at least they entertained me with the panda music while it was going on. But did you watch it live?
Yeah, I was like set up. For me, it wasn't a crazy hour, so it's fine. Just jamming out, watching the live stream, had like hanging out in all the group chats. It was a lot of fun. It felt like, like an Apple event, but we cared a lot more, and I think we're all more like invested in it. And I just I loved how like real it felt. when they did that live stream, it was just a bunch of people chiming in from all over the world on a Zoom call, talking about their contributions and what the merge looks like and how things are going forward. It didn't feel very like corporate, or like it didn't feel like a business selling of something. It really felt like a DAO that came together and shipped this thing. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It was super nerdy, but very cool. And I mean, I enjoyed like the entire stream. Like I thought they did an amazing job. But I mean, even myself, like I told people leading up to it, especially like I don't know, people asking my opinion, like, what do you think of the merge? Like they've done so much testing on this that there's like no way like this
Yeah,
just
that it
doesn't go
fails.
well. And
Hmm.
then like I found myself like the hour leading up to it, I'm like, oh man, I'm pretty nervous. Like I have so
That's
much
how it
riding on
always
this,
is.
even myself. So like, yeah, I even started freaking out. So
Did you dump your proof of work ETH?
no, I haven't. I've held it. So I mean, actually, kind of touching on the macro stuff for a while, like.
Mm-hmm.
I brought it up maybe 3 weeks ago in a few chats that it's like I had the feeling that like regulation was coming as soon as proof of stake went live because it's so hard. Like there's so much regulation in the US that's being led by like what I would say is Bitcoin maxis. Like you have like Saylor who's on the board. You have people like Ted Cruz in Texas who's pulling in all these miners and like pretty much they're on like his power grid. So like everybody from a regulation standpoint, super like proof of work because it's all I want to say like Republicans
Yeah.
who like have flyover states, cheap energy, like
Yeah.
so it almost feels like waiting until after the merge is a perfect way for them to kind of like box out ETH as a security,
Mm-hmm.
or like wait until it's proof of stake and then like say like, hey, this might make it a security, like
Yeah.
exactly how it actually ended up playing out. And because of that, it's like I think there's a chance that if they make it heavy security, that chain does well, or like the proof of work ETH like does decent. So like I think I'm just gonna hold mine. Not really any risk in it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
think it could end up making a big comeback at some point.
Right.
Um,
I see.
how
Okay.
about
Yeah.
you? Did you dump?
Oh yeah, I dumped it as fast as I could. I was like, for
Uh,
me, I actually like it's hilarious because I asked DCF Inter to like set up a wallet so I could send it to him and he could dump it, but then I forgot he was on a flight, so we didn't get to dump it as fast as I wanted to dump it. But there was actually like, a lot going on there. One of my friends, what he did was he went and he went to the proof of work chain and he unwound all of his like LP positions and whatnot, and he just bought a bunch of proof of work ETH with his like with
LPs.
his yeah, with
Mm.
his like DAI and USDC and all that, because it's all obviously worthless, right? And then he sold all that. So I think he managed to like double or triple his airdrop. So that was amazing. And like after he told me that, I was like, oh my god, I have so much FOMO. I wish I had done that as well, but I was just a little
Smart.
lazy and didn't think through it as much as I should have. But whatever. There was definitely a lot of free money. I think that even if like ETH becomes a security or whatever that is, my take on like society in general is over time we will always curve towards doing the right thing, right? Like if you look
Agreed.
at if you think about the next 100 years, there's no way we won't figure it out to the point where we will do whatever is best for the environment, right? Like as the right thing. And I think there was stats even during the merge call that was like we decreased global and like electricity usage or something like that by like 0.3% by switching to proof of stake instead of proof of work
That
for
blew my
Ethereum.
mind.
Yeah, that like
That's like
blows my
I
mind.
can't wrap my mind around it at all.
Exactly.
Like
So in whatever world, whatever maxis want to do, whatever someone wants to do to try to make an extra dollar here or there, even if some regulations show up, over the years, those regulations will get undone. Like the world will slowly curve towards doing the right thing, especially in a time where the environment and like longevity of the planet is a focus of everyone. Like if we want to have these blockchains, they can't be proof of work based, and I think that's just like a hard line. So even if it's like here or
yeah,
there over a long enough time, proof of stake's gonna work. Maybe if you're trading in and out over the coming months or some big scary regulation thing, I think it'll get fixed. So I'm not too worried on that front. What do you think about like the burn though and the like whole Ponzi-ness of it? Did that go as well as expected? Do you think it'll make the
I
number go
mean,
up, or do you
yeah,
think it all
I
got
think
priced in?
everything, yeah, everything went like better than I expected it to. So, I mean, it was pretty cool seeing immediately like how big the burns are. I think
Yeah,
now it's gone positive. Like I
GM
don't, I
it.
don't know if you have like the
yeah, I have it.
ultrasound.
Yeah, bring it
Oh,
up on the screen.
um, Yeah, I can't see it, but I need to go into the Twitch and stuff. But like, I mean, I think it's pretty awesome. Like, I mean, to cut supply growth by that much, like,
Yeah.
it's a very big deal for ETH. And I mean, especially with like, I want to say all the staked ETH being locked up for at least another like 6 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, the more the chain gets used, the better. So like, if we can make it deflationary, like as adoption comes, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I picture it like, sure, like we're probably gonna have some expansion, like when some of those things unlock, but like once we hit another bull run when those like normal gas fees from like mints and like there's all these L2s building on ETH,
Yes,
like it's
exactly.
gonna be insane.
It
Like
will
I
burn.
really can't wrap my mind
Yes.
around like if last bull run ETH was also deflationary, like what would have happened,
It would have
because
been it would have been
gas would have been
nuts.
like literally over $1,000 easily
I don't think it
for a
would
lot
have
of transactions.
I don't think it would have been more expensive to make transactions, but I think like the the meme or the narrative around holding an ETH and collecting fees would have been like better than any other narrative you've seen in crypto, right? And like
Oh, 100%.
right
Yeah.
now it's not actually deflationary because I think like average gas costs. So if you go to ultrasound.money, it's a really good website. Um, there the average gas fee is 14 Gwei. If we surpass 15, then that's when issuance will be negative. But I don't think issuance like even needs to be negative for this to be a bullish thing, because like if you turn on this little trigger, you can see that since the merge, we would have had 18,000 ETH come into circulation, but instead we only had 400 come into circulation, right? And as long as I don't know, I haven't done the analysis on were miners selling in the past or were they just holding in the past, but as long as they were selling and now they are not selling, and you keep all other pressures the same, like the number kind of does go up. And in crypto, things tend to get priced in early, like before the merge happens. Everyone's like, "Oh, merge narrative, make sure you buy. Merge narrative, make sure you buy." And then after, everything tends to dump. And I think we got a little bit of that. But this narrative is like one of the most real narratives I've ever seen. Like this change of like 400 ETH since merge versus almost 20,000 ETH since merge appearing on the market. That's hard to price in right. It's not like, oh, they launched a new feature or something along those lines. They've actually like destroyed
Yeah.
ETH that would have otherwise been sold here. You just sent me a tweet to bring up on chain, so let me on the screen. So let me just bring that up, and then you can discuss what you were
That's
saying.
fair. And when you say like even like transaction costs, like if you're talking about like this was active for like last run, like
Yeah.
sure the transactions wouldn't be more gas, but like if ETH's 10K, like all of a sudden those it easily would have been 1K transactions, because it is
Oh, I see what
does
you're saying.
vary like as
Yes. Yes.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like more expensive from a like gas standpoint, but like the actual cost
USD's
of
point.
like
Yes.
underlying, yeah, exactly, USD would have been insane. But I mean
Yeah.
like I think kind of how I look at it too is like it's a big switch for ETH. So like although it's like I want to say not nearly as inflationary, like I've always been like since I started really researching Bitcoin, like one of the things that kind of like interest me was really just like hash rate, like how that affects price. Like the more miners that are on network, like it really pushes price because you can like it's a lot cheaper to actually like if all of a sudden hash rate goes down, you can mine like Bitcoin or ETH or whatever it is cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
So like your cost to actually acquire is like way less. So
Yeah.
you can honestly sell it. As hash rate goes up though, like as we're seeing with things like Bitcoin right now, it's holding extremely well compared to others. Like ETC has been like going as everybody like actually switches over their miners to ETC. So like all of these like are kind of backed by that energy. And as soon as like you move to proof of stake, like you kind of lose that floor price in my mind. Like I think it's not you
Well.
actually brought up how it's like cost to acquire.
Yeah.
Like there's like the people who are staking, like they obviously like they could be down if they staked their ETH like a year ago. So it hasn't completely disappeared, but like you have to think of like, hey, if all of a sudden validators are earning, I don't know, like what the APR is right now. Do you have to know off the top of your head, like what
I don't.
validators
I
are
don't know
earning?
off the top of my head.
But say it's like 10%, like instead of those 20,000 ETH a day going to people who are miners and like have costs, like if all of a sudden all of those miners are in the negative, they all start to hold. They're not going to sell at a loss because it's a business. But like with these validators, they technically can dump and like they're trapped in positions for like really the next 6 months. So like
Mm-hmm.
it'll be interesting to see what happens. Like instead of those miners actually getting the ETH, it's going to big funds, it's going to VCs, it's going
Yeah.
to whales. So
Yeah.
just it's just different control mechanism or
Yeah.
like
For me, it's funny. It's funny to hear this because not funny to hear, but it's interesting to hear this because we have like it's very rare that we have different opinions on this kind of stuff, right? Like you think
yeah,
that if the person spent a bunch on their equipment, then if they're not making enough to cover the cost of equipment, then they won't sell the thing. But I think that if they spent that much on their equipment, if they should be selling as much as possible to cover their costs, and if anything, they should only be keeping their profits, which is on top of whatever their costs are. So but I don't know what the metrics so like as Bitcoin goes down, people sell more or less. But for me, it's like I don't even keep track of Bitcoin hash rate or how many miners there are or how that network is going because I just like I see it as like a dying thing where it's like I prefer to focus on my learning on what the future is going to look like, which is kind of interesting, right? And then I
yeah,
feel like with ETH, it's like it's a good thing if the ETH emissions go to people who are staking ETH, who are the VCs or who are holders and
agreed.
have economic ties to the network. Like if I got a bunch of ETH for free, no matter what the ETH price is, I'm gonna hold that ETH because I'm already so long ETH, right? It's like if I wanted to sell ETH, why didn't I just sell the ETH I had already? Even if it's locked for like 4 more months or something like that. If I'm holding ETH
I'm
and I'm
iffy
getting
on
more
that.
ETH,
I
I'm
don't
just
know.
keeping the ETH. But if I'm holding graphics cards and I'm getting free ETH, I'm like I don't give a fuck about what this token is. Just give me money, right? I bought the graphics cards to make money. Whereas with ETH, I bought the ETH to be part of the narrative, to be a staker, to like decentralize the network, to earn more ETH on top of my ETH, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the D
yeah.
in DCF is diamond hands, right?
Yeah, there
That's
you go.
I
But yeah,
so like I'm iffy on that though. So like here's why. Like the way I look at it is I track like some of those big wallets. Like when you look at Almeida, like Jump, like they don't always have big stacks of ETH. Like when
no,
the charts look bad, they're selling. So like
yeah,
those are the people who are also getting like a lot of those like actual I want to say emissions. So it's like, do you really think they're just going to continue to hold? Or will they dump to cash and like go buy businesses or do whatever? Like there's a point where like when you have the VCs and the funds, like they are profit maxis who like almost a flaw, like to a fault. Like so, I'm a little bit iffy on how that'll like play out. I'm interested to see. Like I agree that there's tons of I would say retail and whales and other users that are just so long ETH they're just gonna hold no matter what.
hmm
But like kind of it'll be interesting to see some of the stats and on-chain metrics of like how that works out. But
yeah.
I
Another
mean,
another good site is the Beacon Chain site. If you're
GM.
interested in this, it's just beaconchain.in, and then on this site you can see like the blocks being mined and whatnot. But they have this under the validators tab. There's this initiated deposits or included deposits, and I think the initiated deposits has a graph. Yeah, and you can see when ETH was deposited. And
that's cool.
since like late December, early January, so this whole time is when all the ETH's being added. So when those unlocks happen, all these people kind of paid more for that ETH or locked that ETH up at higher prices than today. That I feel like when they unlock, they're not going to be like, oh, let me dump it. It's a very similar argument to what you were saying about the people that spent money to buy graphics cards. They spent money to get this ETH. So if the number's below what they spent to get this ETH, why are they going to sell it? They're probably just going to wait, stake it, continue to earn fees. And then when a bull market shows up, the narrative just gets better because they're going to be like, oh, now I'm getting fees and all those fees are worth more. And because transactions are higher, I'm getting higher return on my investment. So I doubly don't want to sell it. I just think the
Yeah,
Ponzinomics of this whole thing are really not appreciated. But we
I
do need
agree.
like a more of a bull market, maybe a little more color and things like that for people to understand it. But long term, I'm very happy with it.
I completely agree. I would say the one argument I would have against that of like I think ETH is a lot more liquid than a bunch of mining equipment. It's very
Right.
hard to be like,
Yes. You
all
can't
right, like
sell
we're
the
gonna
graphics
sell at a
cards.
loss. Yeah, you can't sell your
Yeah.
graphics card. Like, you can sell them at a loss, but it's very
There's no
hard to
AMM.
offload that shit.
Yes.
Yeah, you can't just like enter like a queue and then like dump like you can with ETH. Like that's the goal eventually. Like we're not
hmm
quite there yet, but like I think mining equipment's much harder to just offload. Like so
Yeah.
like I would say that's probably the one difference, but like I completely agree. I still am bullish on the Ponzinomics. I think this is going to be insane for the next bull run. But I'm still skeptical, I think, of how it plays out over the next like
True.
6 to 9
True.
months.
Okay.
So we'll see. I
Yeah,
mean, I
I
don't
think
know.
that was good merge. That was good
So
merge talk.
it was, and
Let's
I
go. Let's
mean,
go to some shit coins. What do you want to?
good.
What do you want to talk about? I think we have so much today. So, do we want to start with NFT stuff? Do we want to start with AVAX stuff? Do we want to go to RV stuff? Where do you want to start?
Well, let's hit one more thing on macro.
Okay.
Actually,
Yeah.
I was going through my notes and like regulation. So like we touched on it briefly, but like I think kind of like your 2 cents on this too. But I mean, if you did you actually get a chance to read the like the article that dropped today, from like the White House?
I don't even know what article you're talking about.
Yeah, you don't. Okay, perfect. Well, regulation like dropped today. They were saying like, hey, like the Biden administration's finally like taking a look at like digital assets, and it's kind of like the first step in the direction of regulation for the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
But like if you look through like what they've kind of pitched, they're gonna do like February of next year. They're gonna like have the Fed do an evaluation of like all assets or digital currencies, and then like do a risk assessment, and like kind of based off of that they're gonna like put in place some regulations, and also like they're pretty much gonna, if I had to guess like how this plays out, they're probably gonna pick a DeFi company or
Mm-hmm.
like DAO, and they're gonna sue them, and then they're gonna
Oh
say like,
snap.
hey, you guys are security, and they're gonna do it like through like regulation through um I can't think of the word for it, but regulations like through the court systems. So like I think they're gonna do that, but also like the Fed report, like I can already tell you, it's going to be like, hey, the biggest risk here is stable coins, because half of
Right.
what they talked about today was CBDCs. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like they're going to do a big evaluation in February on all these DeFi projects. They're going to say, oh, the risk to the systems and all these stable coins that are worth USD and like have like weird backings or algo stables. They can point to Luna, and then they're going to push everyone in the direction of a CBDC. And I think that's a little bit like scary and exciting at the same time, because they can kind of control like what you actually buy, like what you interact with, but also like the amount of adoption that would bring is like honestly fucking insane. Like, can you imagine if they give everybody a digital wallet all of a sudden, and like you can easily transfer your USD from your bank account to a digital wallet that connects to all these blockchains? Like, I mean, the amount of capital that would flow in is
Yeah.
absolutely stupid. So
Yeah, they're obviously going to see that there are efficiencies here, right? Like whole wire networks and everything like that would just work better. For me, it's just with that stuff, there's such a thin line between becoming ridiculously dystopian versus extremely like transparent and utopian. Like if the government was tracking every single transaction of ours, it would be a little bit more creepy than it is useful, right? But if they could do
I
it
mean,
right, that in our like open ecosystem with the stable coins we have and things like that, it could work a little better. Again, I'm like, this is not my bread and butter. It's not where I land. I focus just more on the technology, and then I think over enough time we'll land in the right place. Like people will fight for what's right. Like even with Tornado, we have a lot of crypto standing up, fighting back, trying to make sure that it happens. Like these debates will go on and on and on until we land in the right place. I don't think people are just
crazy.
going to accept um, anything that's like obviously blatantly not fair or right.
I completely agree. And honestly, I don't think it's as bad as everyone makes it out to be. So
Yeah.
like I'm not, I don't like it, but also like I think like I understand why they're going that direction. That we always end up falling somewhere in the middle.
Hmm.
So we'll see what happens with it. But I mean, I think the reason I brought it up is I think like one, I think it means two things in my mind. Like when I read between the lines, like one, I don't see a spot ETF happening for anything until after they do
Right.
that like kind of risk assessment in February. I think they're also doing NFTs in like I think it's June or July of 2023. So like that's probably about like once they do that, like it'll be very hard for them to say no to another spot ETF though.
Hmm.
So I think that gives a little bit of a timeline, but also when I look at the market, like I don't really see what's bearish. Like I'm really struggling. Like everybody's like
That's good to
running for
hear.
the hills, and like I'm like regulation was one of the biggest question marks for me of like, hey, what's gonna happen? And like I think that like, a lot of that got cleared up today. Like the markets are like reacting terribly to it.
Yeah.
Like I understand interest rates are probably gonna get like they're already pricing in a 75 or 100 like bips increase, but
Hmm.
if we get that 100 bips increase, we have elections like right around the corner. Like I'm getting like looking at charts like RSIs and like the DXY is like overbought. It could break out, but I'm thinking like next two, I want to say right now in the next like 2 to 3 weeks, like there's probably going to be a point where I go like all back in crypto. Like I said on like July 1st when everybody else was bearish as could be. But the more I look at charts, like stuff's getting oversold. Like all of crypto's starting to head towards oversold. DXY and the higher time frames is insanely like overbought. It's been in like the overbought territory for like weeks. If it breaks out, like I'll ease off a little bit, but this is where the money's to be made. Like when people are running for the hills. So
all right,
that's where we get into shit coins to like get some leverage bets. So
I love it here.
Like
yeah, I'm ready to start taking risk again. All my money is trapped in RFV plays, so I've been very like anti-risk recently throughout this bear. But I'm really excited to start to buy things that I'm excited about and that can make money and I can stake and get income from and things like that. But right now,
so what you're saying is you've RFV'd everything on every chain. So now that we're out, that definitely means the
we're almost out. I think we're at like 10 so far, and there's definitely still a few really good ones, but I'm still accumulating those. But there's nothing where you can like really size into. Those are mostly played out.
What do you have your eye on? Like, what are you excited about?
Should we do RFV segment first then? I guess we.
Yeah, let's do RFVs. Let's do RFVs. Let's talk about where all the capital is coming from or the shit coins.
Yeah, well, so for me for these, we saw a lot of it play out already. But the three big ones I'm in now three big ones I'm in now are basically Temple still, so I can give an update there. Tribe still, I'll give an update there, and Spartacus, and I'll give an update there. But I think that one's like very high risk, so I think that one you probably shouldn't treat as like a low risk RFV one. But it seems to be okay. Like Devis chimed in, he said like it's still backed by all these assets. He's been very honest with it. There hasn't been emissions, things like that. But let's go through those one by one. So we can start with Tribe. So with Tribe, what happened was I'll bring up my spreadsheet here, but this is basically the situation that ended. So they basically put up a bunch of votes where they had all these options. They were going to either use a bunch of Tribe to cover the fuse hack, or they were going to give a bunch of extra stables in Tribe to cover the fuse hack, or they repay the whole thing, or they don't repay at all. And what got voted on by the Tribe holders was a full repay. Now, the reason that happened was because Olympus came in and they said, remember in DeFi, like people in Convex use bribes? So Olympus did exactly that. They bribed all of the Tribe holders to vote for a full repay, and that made the RFE per tribe higher than the RFE if they hadn't repaid at all. I haven't updated this one. So every holder is now going to get 31.5 cents per tribe, but only those that voted for full repay. And it worked really well. Like they won by like a long shot. So the actual RFE now per tribe is 22 cents, but everyone that voted for full repay is going to add an extra 9 cents. So the total they got was like 31.5 cents. Now what's going to happen over the coming days is the vote for this, on-chain vote for this, is going to go live. And once that vote goes live, the snapshot will happen. And immediately at that point, the RFE will become 22 cents. So I think there might be right now it's at it trades, I think, at 23 cents or 24 cents on the AMM. So I think right when that happens, people might start selling. So there could be an opportunity to collect some Tribe at like 20 cents or 19 cents just to get that like 10% ARB spread, which I think will be pretty good. So I'll be watching that. But otherwise, if you're buying Tribe today, one Tribe should be worth about 22 cents.
Where's the liquidity? Is it on?
Yeah, so all the liquidity is against Faye. So it's Faye Tribe LP, and that's important because
where's it hosted? I was gonna say why not put a limit order? Like you could probably put a big limit order right below that.
Could, yeah, on Uniswap. I think it's on Uniswap on UniV3, but 1 inch doesn't route through it properly. So make sure you use Matcha because I think it has to go DAI to the Faye PSM to mint Faye and then use that Faye to buy the Tribe. Whereas the other aggregators don't route through it and the slippages is all whack. And so it's really hard to buy unless you use something like Matcha. So definitely do that if you're interested. But it does trade above RFE, so I don't think it's a good buy for anyone right now. It's kind of just like in this gray zone while we wait for the next vote. And then the final step will be collecting your RFE against your Tribe. Now, what I don't like about Tribe right now is the total PCV is $202 million. Then they're going to pay off the hack. So after the hack happens, there'll be like 160-ish million in PCV left. Now, all of that PCV came from uh, like regular holders, like people that came in and gave them ETH and then got Tribe for giving them ETH and putting ETH into the PCV. But what's happening is the team and VCs are going to be claiming, I think, almost $100 million of that PCV for themselves using
Insane.
tokens that they didn't create the PCV with. Like they just minted these tokens out of thin air. Even the Fae that they're claiming on, they're going to claim DAI for Fae that they never bought. Like it was just algo stable Fae, and that like as a look, I know I bought lower, so for me it's like okay, whatever, I'll still make money. It's fine. But I think there's still like a shit ton of real tribe, not that buyers aren't real tribe holders, but there's still a shit ton of people that minted tribe at the beginning and put money in the PCV that are now kind of getting drained because a bunch of new Fae and tribe was kind of created out of thin air. And a lot of this was in the original tokenomics, but I think it was a bit of a psyops. So I kind of just wanted to show that. I don't think they're going to do anything about it, but if you do the math on it, so I did that here, the amount of claims by the team and VC is going to be 80 million plus. And that's
Dude, that's insane.
that's insane, right? On the PCV
For
for
like a team that
for a
got
project
hacked,
that
like,
failed.
this is
Yeah.
all happening because of the hack.
Yeah, for a project that failed,
Oh,
it's like
it's
they're going to claim
disgusting.
more than the hack. And then the VCs invested in the business Fae Labs. They didn't put money into the PCV. So I'm like, okay, if you're a VC and this is failing, go claim your cash from Fae Labs. Don't use these like tribe tokens. They're even claiming on unvested tokens. Don't claim on your unvested tokens. And if you're the team in VC, like what I think is fair is they should claim on their tokens that have vested, and they shouldn't be claiming on anything else. And the reason they're able to get this much money is mostly because they they did this trick where they gave themselves the LP, and now they're claiming on the LP, which was just supposed to be liquidity at the time. So if you look at the original
Good.
tokenomics, like what you would expect is investors have up to 5% and team has up to 13%. But in reality, what's happening is they're taking over 50% of the PCV from tribe holders. So it's like this is obviously just like a large psyops. So that really frustrated me, but it doesn't seem like there's anything we're going to be able to do about it. But I'm hoping that the team and VCs are just waiting for the payoff proposal to finish, and then they'll do some sort of proposals where they do good for their actual holders that minted this entire PCV and they don't claim it for themselves and so on and so forth. But I know there's things legally happening in the background. And last time I brought this up, like some of the VCs replied to me saying like, oh, you're just crying on Twitter and things like that. And I don't want to be that person, so I'm just trying to say less about it. But in general, I think 22 cents is guaranteed. If the team and VCs do something about this, which I think they should be doing something about this, it could be even higher. But of course, like no one knows, so I probably wouldn't buy it. But if you are a tribe holder, I think it's worth fighting for to try to get this up, right?
That's disgusting. Like that honestly pisses me off. But I mean, like, did they figure out who did the hack? So I didn't play Tribe, and like I know it was a very like it was pretty much blue chip at the time. But like, what did they figure out who was behind? I guess the exploit.
They didn't figure out who was behind the exploit from what I know. I think some people said it was like North Korea and shit like that. And it was like unfortunate it happened. And if they could get the funds back, then that's great. But I think where they landed with the exploit, I have no issues with. Like they're paying off 100% of the exploit. Everyone that got hacked gets all their money back. I'm very happy with where it landed. And because of that, I feel like there should be no legal problems anymore. Like legally, they're repaying the whole hack. No one lost money. Everyone that came and joined knew the risks they were getting into. No one got stolen from. It's the only people that are taking a loss now are tribe holders who filled this PCV, who should have claim to this PCV, that I feel are now being a bit cheated by having team and VC claim 50% plus when original expectations was like from what they've vested so far should be like 10%. So I'm gonna
I mean,
try to bring it up in Discord and fight for it. But at the end of the day, I know like my stance is someone that bought later and shouldn't be able to claim more and yada yada yada. And people may say things like that. So I'm just chilling. But I think most tribe holders should be fighting for them not to get all these funds like taken and put in the team of VC pockets.
I mean, like, so, like, just a pure outsider's perspective. I don't know who the VCs are. I don't know any, like, really any
No,
of the
they're
team
really good
members. I didn't
VCs.
play
It's
it.
like A16Z and like Framework and
But I
like
mean,
Nascent and like they're all people I love and trust and respect. So that's why I'm like really surprised.
yeah. Well, I mean, like from like just from like me following some of this, and like it's been a lot of your tweets. It's also been like some of the stuff that like some of the projects have put out that I'm in, like Redacted, and some of those were pretty big losers, because of the hack. So like I followed it decently, and also like I mean Sam from Frax has been pretty vocal about it. But like
Yeah.
I mean, it's so hard to trust the team after like I mean, sure they got hacked, and like you can kind of point at like North Korea if like you can trace the funds back there, but every move they've done since has been so selfish that it's like very hard for me to like not at least look at them a little bit. And I mean that's like I don't know. Like I can't like if you're taking that you're taking extra funds, you originally said like you put it to vote and then said, "Hey, we're going to distribute this and like take care of the hack," and then not do it, disappear for months, then say we don't want to go like and have legal trouble because of it. Like that's so shady in so many ways to me that like I just I don't know. Like I don't trust the
Yeah.
team. I don't trust like any of the people involved. Like
I
and like
like
it's
I
probably gonna go down as like what not to do. So
Yeah, I think it's just a big clusterfuck. And what happens is when you have a fixed pool of money and you have a bunch of people that are trying to fight for it, someone's gonna and everyone's gonna be angry at the person making the decision. And at the end of the day, that is the team. And at the time, like I think the
he's
original
not gonna be
hack,
mad at the team.
yeah, like there's no one that's gonna be like,
They're
yeah, go
making so
team,
much.
good job, right? Like at the time of the original
Yeah.
hack, they voted to repay, the vote went through, and then they did an on-chain vote and that didn't go through. And that was the DAO's decision, and that's fine and that's fair. At the end of the day, they did do the right thing. I think they act with they have good like honesty, like they're not lying about anything, but I think there's like some this is the first thing that I feel like is extra sus. Like I felt like, hey, maybe like reworded from the original hack, what their proposal was to repay each person up to $1 million. That's pretty good. Everyone that got hacked gets up to $1 million depending on how much you got hacked by. And then it was just Ohm and Frax that didn't get fully repaid. And if they bought insurance, insurance works a very similar way where they'd probably buy insurance up to a given amount or something like that. Here they didn't have to buy any insurance, but they did the whole bribe thing and they got fully repaid too. So everyone ends up happy. It's just like this
Yeah.
last piece is what gets me. I think up until then, the team hasn't been as evil as people trying to make them out to be. But in this last piece, I think it's more maybe on the VCs or maybe it's legal. I don't know what it is, but there's got to be something going on behind the scenes on why they would even want to claim on this money. But yeah, that's Tribe. I don't want to spend all the time on it.
No, yeah, it's good. Just fired me
Yeah.
up, so
And then the next one is Temple. So I know we've talked a lot about Temple on our calls. I think I have to use Dex Screener because Defined doesn't have the Temple AMM supported.
yeah, not yet.
Yeah, I got a message Razor and be like, bro, what's going on here? But they have finally started doing good by holders. So each temple in book value is backed by about $1.10. And like if you go back in time, like this was like the war where we were fighting with the team to ensure
Same,
Temple
yeah.
was backed, and finally the team has come around and they've been buying back. And through their buybacks, they've gone price up to like 92 cents, and there's a decent amount of liquidity, 23 mil plus. And then on Balancer, there's also another like I think 10 to 15 mil liquidity. So there's good liquidity, and they're continuously doing these buybacks. I personally think the fair value for a Temple is $1.10. But what the team is saying is that if they gave everyone like full book value, then what would happen is there would be no runway for them to continue to deliver products, because then they wouldn't have like Temple in the DAO. And I think that's kind of like fair too. So now it's just about finding like a fair price where it gives the DAO good runway and it gives holders a fair price to exit if they wish to exit. For me, I think that should be about $1, which is like a 10% discount. But the team isn't saying what their fair price is. They say they have a fair price and they'll buy back up to it or around it, and then they'll stop buying back. But the community kind of just has to guess where that is. So I don't really like that. But
That would be my guess.
yeah, I hope it's $1.
That drives me nuts, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
but I don't know
I
what it
remember
is.
being in like
Yeah.
the chat with like 80 big Temple holders, losing
Yeah.
my mind. Like probably a year ago. I don't even know. It's been forever.
Yeah.
But like my original pitch to them was like, why not just like buy it back to $1, be
Yeah.
another stable coin that auto earns, like you can do all
Yeah.
the frac stuff on the back end, and they like wouldn't do it, and they're definitely gonna peg to $1. And I'm gonna go back to chats from like I don't know February, and I'm gonna be like, they finally did this, but like it's been a struggle to get there.
Yeah,
I mean,
it has been a long journey, and I'm
it
really
makes a
glad they
lot of
came.
sense
Yeah,
to do a
I'm glad they
dollar
came
though.
around and they started doing the right thing. So it was definitely a good move on their part and a good move for the community. There's still a few things that are like pretty frustrating. I think if you're a temple holder, you understand them, but I do think the team is listening a little more, so that's good. But again, another trade that's mostly priced in, so I don't think there's a lot of like opportunity to buy a bunch of temple. What I do think there is though is more honesty now. So if you are like interested in the products that they're building or the metaverse they're going to launch, they have decent runway. They'll more healthily protect the floor, and you get like good yields. Like the aura pool is really good. I think you probably have looked at it, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they've been bribing super nicely in ETH too. So like, I
yeah,
mean, I'm all
exactly.
for it.
So like
It's grown a ton. Yeah.
yeah, and if you know a dollar-ish, well, we don't know if it's dollar-ish. I'm hoping it's a dollar-ish. So if you know something decent is going to get protected, and you come to this Aura farm, like it's like 18% right now, and next week is going to go down because I think they have bribes off while they do buybacks. But then once they start bribing again, it'll be higher again. So it's good yields, good decent price protection, almost no IL. Like if you have an 80-20 pool, I think if you trade up like 20 or 30%, the IL is only like 0.2%. So it's like a few days a yield or something like that. So I'm in this pool, and then I'm also in the Temple Vaults. And then what I do is I just sell a little bit every now and then because I have no idea where they're gonna end up protecting. But for me, it should be above $1, and I'm gonna keep fighting for that if I can in Discord. But yeah, so that's the Temple update, and then the last one is Spa. So for this one is like extremely high risk. Like this is for the RFVR that's looking for well, it's not even for the RFUR, but there's other ones that are higher risk, but I think people don't realize the math on SPA yet. But I went through it. So if you go through all of the wallets, like the DAI wallet, the Lambda wallet, the DAO, and the Treasury wallet, you end up with almost $28 million of non-SPA assets. And the circulating SPA, people don't realize, but there's a lot of the SPA is actually burnt. Like it's in the dead address. So there's only
Oh.
385K of circulating SPA, which means that like the RFE is like almost is $70 plus. I think some of this might be a little less. The dev was saying some of these things don't have claim, but the most recent math I've seen still puts it around $70, and I think it trades at like 25. So this is one of those things with like the most upside, I think, as an RFE play. But I also think that it's the highest risk right now, just because there's been a lot of silence from the team, and they say that there was a community vote for doing inverse bonds, and it was just completely ignored by the team. But the team is saying that they're going to ship this new Frax like algo stable thing with I think it's with Lambda. And that's a little scary to me because I'm like, I remember when the Fort people did some like stable of their own and they started bonding for it. And I don't want that kind of situation to show up. But nothing has made me feel like they'll do anything malicious. Everything has just made me feel like they're shipping really slowly, and they have done a redemption in the past, which makes you feel like obviously they know the backing is real and they could do a redemption again, or they could do inverse bonds, or just any way to add value to holders. Spartacus did jump into Discord and say that he is looking to farm with the treasury and potentially give those gains to holders. So just do a search for his old messages. But it's a really high risk one, but there's decent liquidity. Probably need to wait a long time, and there's a lot of PvP. Like I see whenever there's a big candle, there are other RVers that sell into it. I've been selling sometimes, and sometimes I buy. It's like a very emotional place for all holders. But the value is
Yeah.
there, and the dev has confirmed the value is there, but waiting on that one. And I think those are the main ones. Otherwise, there's some smaller projects with really high RFEs, but I just think those are so high risk that I even buy them on other wallets. I don't want to lead anyone into even considering those. Like they're just really sketchy. But yeah, that's me on that update.
Mm. I mean, I got burned on that one the last time I bought.
Uh-huh.
Like immediately, like one of the
Yeah.
team members came out and was like, I haven't
Yeah, he
heard from the
quit.
dev in
I
like a month and a
remember.
half. It
Yes.
was like 3 hours after I bought, and I was
Same.
like, well, that was a nice 100K out the window or whatever it
Same happened to
was.
me.
Like,
Yeah, I sold
yeah,
right when that happened too. Like I saw that happen. I was so scared. Like I sold and ran away. But then the dev came and he was like, "No, don't worry, guys. I did a redemption. He proved the value is real. He's consistently said similar things in the Discord, like, okay, no, this belongs to Spa. This is actually still backed, and so on and so forth. So I'm less scared than I was last time, given that he did do the proof once. So why not do it
yeah.
again? Um, I think it's just in crypto, you never know, right? Like people can react badly, people can do adverse things and things like that. That there's a reason this is priced at 1/3 of
I mean,
cash, and I'd like to
if
see
he's
them do
done it,
something to fix that. Yeah.
if he's done it once, like I kind of trust it. Like I got super sketched out because a lot of stuff came at once. Like I
Hmm.
bottomed and topped that one. I bought the top wick and sold the bottom one, so I just salty and probably won't go back myself. But like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're probably good if they've already done a redemption. One
Yeah.
third, like I mean, that's a pretty big return too. Might be worth the
It was.
risk.
It was. Yeah.
I would,
I hope. I don't even care if he doesn't redeem or not. I just hope he starts delivering value to the holders. You know, like farm at least
yeah,
farm and use the farmed funds to buy back, or at least farm and give the funds to the holders, or at least do reverse bonds. But
do
there's
something.
so many things like within just a
Yeah,
week's of worth you can
try.
do to deliver value to the holders. And like that's the thing that matters most. Like, okay, maybe you have a vision, like let's help you execute on that vision, sure, but deliver the value to the holders while you execute on that vision. And it makes the vibes better. It makes people want to hold your coin, like especially in these bear markets, right? There's not a lot people can buy, so things like this work
Yeah.
well.
I mean, so many shady RFVs though. Like I feel like some of them like they try and push them to the floor.
Yeah,
Like hey, like let's see how low we can actually get it before people start to buy. Or like I'll try and buy like scoop up as much as possible across a bunch of wallets, and then like they pay themselves out when they do these redemptions because they know they're coming. Like as team members,
yeah,
like that like I know there's projects out there that do it and it just like drives me nuts, but like
yeah,
I think that's why some of them don't deliver. But like
yeah.
when you start
Because
to
they
see
don't
some
have
of those
enough,
bigger
right? Like
buys,
they
it's
haven't
like
bought it themselves, so they can't
exactly.
redeem it.
Well, yeah, if you scoop
Yeah,
10% of supply over time because you're just pushing
yeah,
it down though, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're gonna do redemptions, and you make like a free 60% at scale, like that's a
yeah.
massive
It's
amount of
meaningful.
money.
Yeah,
But yeah, so like I mean, I swear some of them do it, and like I mean, like the teams that just disappear, like it
yeah,
drives me nuts. But like I think some of them have ill intentions, even if they pay it out. That's
yeah,
just like ways that you can get away with it, I think,
yeah.
from a legal standpoint.
Yeah.
But
Well, someone wrote an article actually on Spawn. I think they proved that some of his past wallets were part of the redemption last time. But I tried to follow up with him. I haven't done the work myself to be sure. Um, but it's
yeah,
possible that he did that last time. And you know, if he wants to do that this time, like I feel like the community wouldn't even be pissed. Like ideally he is aligned with the token holder's value. So hey, if he wants to buy and then start delivering value, that's really cool. Just like start delivering value and everyone will be happy. But yeah, I personally like I don't know if I'll wait for a full redemption. I'll probably sell if the number goes up like a significant or a decent amount. Because I'm just not sure. But if he starts delivering more value to holders like farming and stuff like that, then I'll definitely hold for a longer time because it's just like stables getting 3x more yield than they should be getting. Like, why not?
yeah, that's fair, very fair. I
So
mean,
yeah,
I don't
that's
hate
that.
it.
Yeah, I don't hate it either. But yeah, why don't we go to shitcoins with more risk? I know you're like gone deep on AVAX ecosystem. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, I mean, so I've been I've been skeptical on how ETH performs post merge. I think actually one of the things that I had an eye on probably pre merge that I wish we probably covered on Alpha Call, but like one of the things that I always see is like when futures get released for an asset, like it normally means it's going to send in either direction. And the day before the merge launched, like or the merge happened, like CME launched futures.
Hmm.
So on like September 12th, like I've been saying for I want to say like a month, like I'm like, oh, I'm like getting out as much ETH stuff as I can prior to September 12th because like futures are going live that day. And like the market always has like Pico bottoms and tops like when futures go. Like so them launching new futures like a red flag to me. So I started looking at some other chains or like other tokens. So like I mean like AVAX was one that like I pretty just had me curious. I've also
Okay.
been like heavily in like in Metis, I mean, or like their whole entire ecosystem. Like I'm still playing that.
Yeah.
I know like everything. I want to say like me and Crypto Yield Info sent the whole chain to the moon,
Yeah, I think
and now everybody's
you
getting
and you and
impatient.
CYI like led really like gave them a win of like new users and the degens and things like that. So they owe you guys big time.
Yeah, I mean, so when I look at this, this is actually like I'm sending you just CoinGecko link to like the top cryptos by market cap.
Okay.
So like I started like looking through this, and I mean, like when I look at maybe the top like 20 tokens, like I'd love your opinion on this. Like where do you think that there's like some longer term value? It's like there's so much just shit in here that like
Mm-hmm.
I really just don't see doing well. That like I was like, what in these do I actually use or think like have a very good opportunity to do well in the future?
Yeah.
And like I mean, like seeing AVAX behind like Tron, behind Shiba, like even Polkadot, Solana, like I feel like
Mm-hmm.
so many more crypto centric people and builders are on AVAX.
Mm-hmm.
Cardano, like I mean, like I think the biggest issue is it has a bigger FDV and they have a lot of emissions still happening. Like I think their FDV is like 13 billion, but even
AVAX.
their FDV is
Yeah.
smaller. Yeah, exactly. So even their FDV is like almost the equivalent of like Solana's market cap, and it's smaller than Cardano. So like, I mean, I'm bullish for that from that perspective. Like, and I just think that there's a lot of crap in here that like AVAX is probably going to be one of the ones that'll eventually rise to the top. So I've been like deep diving that ecosystem alongside Metis. But I mean, looking at this, are there other chains that you want to concentrate on, or like that you have looked
Yeah.
into outside of ETH, like
Yeah. Well,
yourself?
yeah. So for me, my portfolio right now is basically ETH and sub RFE things, and then some small risk on things that I like because I think it can actually make a lot of money. So I have like redacted because I know they have real fees, and those fees represent like pretty high earnings, and it's like underpriced just for the amount of money it's making, right? Or I have like Xmon because I like use SudoSwap, and I think it's like the best way to make money off holding floor NFTs, and I think it hasn't really been appreciated yet. So I have Xmon, and really that's kind of it, because I don't like to hold stuff when I don't know why I'm holding it, right? Um,
That's fair.
it's like I'll hold something if there's a narrative coming, I'll buy something for that short narrative and then I'll sell it. And if I'm gonna hold something long term, it's because I'm like, this thing clearly makes money, and because I hold the token, I will either get that money now or one day in the future. I think there's a way for them to give that value to token holders. But a lot of the things in the top 10 are just expensive because they're expensive. It's like, how much money does Solana make? And as a holder, it doesn't make you anything. The fees are almost nothing, so I don't understand why it's such a high cap. Like, there's some like meme value, and people need to hold it for gas and things like that. But I think I'm just like maybe I'm just mid curve. Maybe I mid curve that too often. But I've been really bad at making those trades. But those trades where it's
Yeah.
like this is clearly undervalued or there's missed value here, those are trades I end up being pretty good on. So when I look at a blockchain, for me, I tend to look at, okay, how many real users are there on this blockchain, and how much like fees is the chain itself generating. And I haven't looked at that for like AVAX or anything like that. So then if I'm gonna buy a blockchain, I usually look for something that's like got a narrative incoming. So like the way you guys did Metis was really good because you knew Metis was doing all these rewards. So obviously all the projects that were going to get free money are going to go up because they're going to get free money and they're going to be undervalued. So I like to join when there's a narrative coming to it, or when there's like incentives coming to its projects, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Or when it's like this thing is obviously like undervalued for the fees it's making, or it's like a huge emissions change, something like that, like similar to how Ethereum had.
Well, through the bull run, that's exactly how I traded. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, almost verbatim. Like, I would look through chains and I would be like, all right, like what narratives are there going on, and what do I personally like? Like, I would go and then I would chart like a bunch of them out. I would find like the ones that look the most bullish, and
Mm-hmm.
then I would like buy up a shit ton of alts on that chain. I would go find alts that were like on FTM
Oh,
or
yes. Okay.
on AVAX, and then it's like a leverage play. Like,
Yeah.
just because you're getting the small caps that are paired with that liquidity, like as like say AVAX would rise, like so do all of the alts, but just in a like if you pick the one with the best narrative from an alt perspective, it's gonna rise 3x quicker because like what
Yeah,
it's
I like
paired with
that.
is also rising.
And you could
So
probably still
I
do
mean that's
that
like
today. Like you gave me
you
the pitch
can,
on
yeah.
Joe, and their like small Joes and the like that whole ecosystem before this. And that made me
Yeah.
feel like, okay, maybe this thing does have a good narrative coming. And like I hadn't even tried this like new NFT marketplace. But then when I bought one of those like small Joes or the small lands, I was like, wow, this marketplace is really good. Like it was fast, the UI was good, it felt similar to OpenSea, it was built well. It has a AMM
Yeah.
that's making a lot of fees, and it's like an 80 mil cap. I'm like, this seems like I could buy this and hold and wait because the team is obviously still delivering and building. So I bought some Joe, and I bought some of those smalls.
Exactly. And I mean, like, I don't know if you can, like, you don't have to pull it up, but like, I just sent it to you. Is like the Trader Joe white paper. So they
Okay.
I started going through AVAX, and very similarly, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to buy this unless like there's
Yeah.
stuff happening on chain. And like, I looked, and I mean, so gauges were happening for Platypus. So
Yeah.
like, they were launching their gauge system. They're also
Oh, did
launching
they
a
already?
haircut
Did
off the
Platypus
trades.
launch that
Yeah, it just
already?
came out. It
Oh,
just
no
came
way.
out. So like that launched within the last like week, I would say. But like all of those gauges have gone live, so they're starting to pay out
Also,
bribes, and I'm
why
like,
didn't it go up? Like, why is this down only still?
well, I mean, so like their model, like let's dive into Platypus, and then we'll go into the Trader Joe stuff. So
Okay,
like,
yeah, sorry, I just totally
yeah,
diverted.
no,
When you
no,
said
no, that
Platypus
was my
had some
fault.
luck,
That
I
was
was like,
my
oh,
fault
okay.
though. So like that was my fault for going that direction. But
Yeah.
so like the way like I see like a Platypus model, a Hum model, like the first like PTP that was minted is worth so much more than a number like 100 million. Just
Right.
because like once you stake it, like the
You just get the
value of
VE
like
one.
what you would get back is yeah, the VE one like
Yeah.
it returns so much more. So it's so much harder to come into some of these protocols late and like and then start stacking. Like if you try and stack today, like it's like a Chinda, like ECD is like the ticker. Like with
Okay.
I don't know how you actually say it, and VTX, like they both aggregate Platypus, but they own
Oh,
like
yeah.
a billion Platypus, and like it's almost impossible as a user to come in and
And
catch
beat
up to
them.
them. And they're also always taking them in because they're aggregating their farms and like
I
so
see.
they're always
Okay.
earning.
Yeah.
So like if you want to buy Platypus, like which is what Platypus needs is buy pressure,
Mm-hmm.
like because they're only emitting, but like you don't technically need people aren't just buying to stake because of that, because it's hard to catch up to some of those actual aggregators. So like I would say the best leverage play on Platypus is like find one of the aggregators. Like I personally like VTX. Like I can send you their website. They
Okay.
had some issues with some of their tokenomics. Like very early on, their emissions were insanely high, and it was a bit of a struggle. But they've slowed them down a ton. I think they're at like zero point 0.5 VTX a second. And like the way it works out, a decent amount of the VTX is being sent to like VTX lockers.
Okay.
So like they own like 30% of all PTP though. So like as like the way I look at it is like if you lock your VTX, like
Yeah.
there are still a decent amount of emissions. Like their FTV is like somewhat high, but they have like $110 million TVL and their market cap's under like 5 million. They own
Wow.
they own like I want to say like 30% of all PTP or VE PTP.
Wow.
So like they
Yeah,
own
I
like
love
30%
this.
of
I love
all.
this kind of trade. This is like the convex, and they have a.
Here's what will blow your mind though is they also own like 10% of Joe. So like
Oh,
they've also
wow.
taken in all of the Joe. So like what they need to do is like as you start to like lock VTX like over time,
Yeah.
like the issue with like nobody's touched VTX because like their tokenomics had been such a struggle, but like their
Mm-hmm.
emissions really aren't that bad now. I'd
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend like going through and doing some of the math. Like it is like a half a VTX a second,
Mm-hmm.
which like worked out to I want to say like you're earning like 50 something percent APR here. If you actually go over the little like I on under lock VTX, it'll show you that like 50% you're earning there, but you also can vote on their page and earn bribes, which is another like 40%. Like you
Wow.
should
Okay.
actually out earn that dilution because you're also printing VTX by locking. So the way I look at this is like, hey, this is a leverage play on the AVAX ecosystem as a whole because you're
Mm-hmm.
getting bribes, you're getting more VTX, you're also getting whatever comes here with Joe by the end of the month when they launch their AMM. So like you're counting on the team to execute here, but like I mean, it's a pretty easy bet in my opinion to have somebody who owns like what 10% of Joe. I think the number is it's like
Yeah.
14 million. And then also such a large chunk of VEPTP.
Okay.
And they're also taking
So
in PTP
for
nonstop because
VEPTP
of their
then,
farms.
with these gauges, are you saying now I get fees for holding VEPTP like from people making swaps?
So it hasn't come yet. Like they haven't
Okay.
announced it yet. Well,
Oh,
it's coming. Like they haven't announced how large it is. Like it's called like a haircut.
okay.
So like Hum just did something similar, but like they haven't actually announced like, hey, here's exactly what it'll look like from a fee perspective, or like how much we're
Right.
gonna take off of each transaction. But
Because
I just sent you another link. Like, will you pull that up real quick?
yeah.
So like this blew my mind. Like absolutely blew my mind when I pulled this up. So like it shows Platypus's volumes, and they're pushing like extremely heavy volumes. Like it's like over 10 million a day, which like kind of shocked me. I was like,
Is it this stupid like is it USDC versus USDE? Is that what most of the volume is?
it's a ton of it. But like if you start taking a haircut on that, think about it. That's a massive amount of money that's going to
Yeah,
be
I've
shifted
never
through
understood
Platypus.
why what USDC, USDE, like I feel like that should be like a PSM like thing, you know? Like
Yeah.
it shouldn't be like it's the same asset. It's just on Ethereum versus on AVAX, and there's so much volume. Yeah, look at this. All the volume
It's
of
insane,
USDC
dude.
and
But like
USDCE. It's just people trying to get on and off like Ethereum versus AVAX USDC. Like, why is
well,
this not just like a PSM thing that the AVAX team provides?
so here's kind of like what I was looking at. Like I actually can't even see your screen because I was pulling this up on my own. If I don't even know if you have it up, but the dashboard,
Yeah, I have it
like
up.
if you look at like the weekly views, like if
Yeah,
you pull the volumes for weeklies, there was a
yeah.
week where Platypus did
Damn,
one and a half
1.5
billion.
billion.
Dude, like think
That's
about that though.
crazy.
Like you're
Wait, that's a
taking a
day though.
small haircut on it all of a sudden, and like that starts to go
So okay, so what
like
are the
back to
swap
holders.
fees? What are the fees set to right now, like on average for this daily volume?
It's very small, but like they're also giving some of their fees out to like it's like uh Bitcoin B, Bitcoin.B and like
Oh
staked
yeah,
AVAX or something like that. So
I
they give
hate
it
these
to like some
pairs.
of these
Yeah,
pools.
yeah,
Yeah, like I honestly I don't even know that much about those pairs that like I didn't dive that deep into like some of those assets, but I'm assuming that's where some of the haircut's gonna come from. They're gonna
yeah,
cut back some of the rewards they're giving to that. But like I imagine it's gonna be pretty huge. And this is
yeah,
another one of those plays where I think about it in my mind of like if another bull run comes and we're hitting like $1 billion plus in volumes on AVAX and like all of those fees are going like back to holders on top of you getting bribes, like the bribes that you're actually getting like for like from their gauge system,
yeah.
like you're getting like all of the blue chips on AVAX. So it's like, hey, like you're building a almost I want to say like index fund full of like good AVAX projects, like just by doing like different bribes.
Here you go.
So
Fee. The fee
where
is
I came
zero
in with the
point two
vector
percent.
though.
Oh wow. Okay, so it's fee is 0.02%.
So it's
So
tiny, absolutely
yeah,
tiny.
so times point. So right now they make like $2,200 a day. So they're like $2,200 a day times 365. So they make about 800K a year. And then if we look at how much VEPTP there is, there's 25.9 million platypus staked. So what's the current price? 10
Trying to
cents.
pull it off.
So $2.5
It's
million
yeah,
dollars. That's so
and that's without
$2.5 million
gauges. Like
dollars
you're
is
not even
staked,
counting
and
bribes. You're not
yeah,
even
and
counting
800K of
bribes.
fees. Like if they gave all those fees to stakers, that's like a 50% APR in just fees. That's actually not bad at
Got you.
all.
Yeah. No, it's not. And like once again, the bribes just launched. Like they're
Yeah,
gonna start to be leveraged way more. Those bribe like the amount of that they're earning in bribes is gonna go through the roof too. So
yeah,
like as and like I'm a big proponent of like I think most people on here understand bribes, but when you're able to offer like you bribe 5K and get 25K in emissions,
yeah.
like across an entire AVAX ecosystem, like that starts to turn every project around. Like
Mm-hmm.
once you're able to like cut back your emissions by like 5x or
Right.
like put all the emissions under one bribe platform or even two if you talk about Joe, like it actually boosts the entire chain
Right. And
because like
PTP
all
is
of
like
those
the
projects are getting
yeah.
emissions much cheaper.
Sorry, I'm just making myself bullish. I didn't even like haven't looked at this
Yeah,
properly,
I'm
but like
selling you on this pretty hard.
yeah.
So, well, wait, well, so think about this. So, like, why buy PTP on your own when you can
Yeah.
go to Vector and they own
Right.
30% of it? They're taking it in nonstop. They earn 20% fee on
Right.
like what their $100 million that's sitting in
Yeah, farming.
TVL, and
Mm-hmm.
then like also like to touch on the NFT stuff again, Platypus made like a game, like a little
Right.
game like with like NFTs, and there's an NFT, like their NFTs have utility of like you earn PTP, VE like 20% faster. So the Vector team knows they're always taking in PTP. They bought one of the most expensive ones that boost their rate. So like they're taking in more PTP than anyone.
This
It
looks
never
like
stops coming
DFK.
in, and they have a boost. So I still can't see your screen. I was like
Oh,
walking
okay.
through stuff on my own. But I mean, do you have it up? Like when I just pulled up the market capping thing, we might
Yeah,
be
I
a
have
little bit
the
behind.
Platypus game up right now.
Oh, it's pretty cool. I bought a bunch of the Platypus NFTs. They're like 50 Platypus, which is like what, $5? I was
Yeah.
like, screw it. I think the transaction cost me more. But
That's
but like,
fun.
so the point is like vectors like a leverage play on this, and then like
Yeah.
you can use and earn those bribes. So like you're earning a decent amount like in like off of PTP, but like the way I look at it is you know PTP is going to introduce a haircut. You you they just started gauges, and you have like Trader Joe's new AMM that's about to launch that they're promising extremely low fees where they're going to beat
Okay, so
Platypus.
transition
So
back
it's
to
like,
Joe. What's going on there? What's going on with that
yes.
AMF?
So they're launching a new AMM. So like
Okay.
they're doing Joe V2. I don't have a ton of details
And
on
this
it
is
other
is
than the
this the
white
white
paper
paper for
that's
Joe
out.
V2? Oh yeah, it is. Okay.
Exactly. It's pretty in depth. Like it's like 13 pages or something like that. But like they go into pretty heavy detail
Yeah, I'm
on
not even
like
gonna pretend to
how they plan to
understand what
do.
this is. Is it
It's
is it
worth
like
it took me.
Curve
I read
or
through
like
twice, and I'm
UDB3, or did they do something different?
yes. Honestly, like it's it's probably deeper than I really get to. So I hopped on even an AMA with them, and I was like, hey, like how do you guys plan to do this? And like the last time I took a deep look through and like read through this, and then
Yeah.
also like hopped in the AMA, like they still didn't have the full details of how everything's gonna work. Like this runs through like how some of their transactions are gonna be made,
Okay.
but like I still don't know like fee systems and things like that. So like there's still a lot of question marks there. But
Okay.
kind
And
of my
when's it
point being
shipping?
is by the end of the month. So you have
Oh,
two
so
weeks.
we'll know in like 2 weeks.
Yes,
Nice.
exactly. But like the point is like you don't really know who's gonna win with both models changing so heavily. It's like is PTP gonna start launching like individual pools for like all of the assets across AVAX and like start like being heavily bribed, or are all of them gonna go through Trader Joe for lower fees? So it's kind of tough to tell like what's actually gonna happen from like that perspective. But
Okay.
super bullish on both. Like one of them, like it should bring way more volume across the entire chain with both of their biggest projects and custom built projects,
Yeah.
both launching V2s.
Okay,
So
nice. And do you think the
I
like
was gonna,
goodwill for AVAX is gonna come back? Like they had that lawyer that was like suing the shit out of all the other chains or whatever.
I mean, I don't think it matters. Is that
Okay.
bad to say?
Yeah. It's not bad to say. That's
It
what I'm
probably
trying to
is.
figure
Yeah.
out before I
I mean,
buy.
like
Yeah.
they're doing like $12 million in volumes, and like like the PTP market cap's a joke. Like
Yeah.
everyone who looks at it, it's 5.7 million circulating, and they're
Yeah.
pushing like 11 million in volume a day. Like
Yeah.
it blows my mind. But
Right.
like actually, like I just sent you another link. You should pull that up. But
Okay,
I don't
nice.
think it matters, honestly. I really don't. Like, I mean, I don't want to say I'm the biggest fan of the PTP team based off of some of the things that I've like watched them do, but like
Yeah,
also
that's what I was gonna ask.
I'm a profit maxi.
Yeah. But
So
then again, everyone
like
forks PTP, right? Do VPTP
yeah.
holders don't they get like some hummus and shit like that too?
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's one of the reasons I was mad at like PTP too. Like they were getting hum, they promised an airdrop, they never did the hum airdrop, and then they dumped it, like market dumped it on everybody's head. So
Oh
like, and
shit.
then they
So
ended
where did
up
all
buying
that
some
money
of
that
it
they
back.
dumped went?
They ended up buying some of it back, but like I don't know. Like I never, probably should have spent more time looking at it since it
Yeah, I
happened,
thought it was
but
for
like
VE
honestly, I
holders.
didn't.
Yeah, that's pretty
Yeah, it was.
sketch.
It was supposed
Did they
to.
just keep it for
Yeah, like
themselves or they gave it to holders at the
they
end of
ended
the
up
day?
dumping it, and then like everyone called them out, and then they
But
bought a
when they
bunch of the
dumped it
hummus
though,
back.
who did they
What
give the
about?
proceeds to? Like themselves or?
No, they ended up like the within like 12 hours we're buying it back on the
Oh,
market.
okay. So it
So
will
like
end up with VPTV holders though.
I would think so, but I don't
Yeah,
honestly
okay.
don't know. So I haven't tracked like that closely. I don't
I see.
spend the time like chilling in the chats like yelling at the
Right.
devs.
Yeah, it's too much
I have
effort.
you for that DCF.
Bruh, man,
You on
I've been
everybody's
fighting these
case.
devs in these discords. I think I got heartburn at
Uh,
one point fighting the temple guys, but it's all good.
yeah,
I
I mean I
found out
get it.
recently one of the guys I butt heads with a lot isn't even on the team, so I'm like, why did I waste so much of my life butting heads with this guy?
Yeah. I mean that's fair, but Yeah, completely fair. But I sent you the Trader Joe like
Oh yeah.
dashboard for analytics.
So they're
Like
doing like 18 mil a week right now.
I believe so. I believe that's like it was. I want to say it was that was August. This isn't like loading for me right now. It might be because we're streaming, but it was like something like that, like 18 mil a week. But I figured like,
Mm-hmm.
hey, there's probably a good chance that like these volumes increase as well.
Yeah,
And like
it's
they do.
August. Yeah.
Yeah, but their system's very weird, like as it stands. And what I mean by that is like they have a bunch of different ways to stake Joe. Like, you can either stake your Joe for like VE Joe or S Joe or like R Joe or X Joe. Like there's so many different ways to stake. Like you can either do governance or like pick like where some of the farm rewards go and boost your farm rewards, or it's actually boost your own farm rewards, or you can like earn USD based off of some of the swap fees. But like the way it was kind of messaged to me, and I don't think they've come out with anything since I was on the AMA,
Mm-hmm.
but I was out for a week, is that that's kind of going away. And I think like they're just going to do a
Well,
like
one. Thank
VE
God.
type model
Yeah. Okay.
and get both. But like, I mean, like it's like 7% or something like that of you earn when you stake Joe, and you earn like 7% in like USDC currently. But
Oh.
the one
Okay.
of
That's
but
not
it's like
bad.
1% to the deposit, so you're earning like you lose like a month of rewards just off the deposit fee. So like I wasn't that super bullish on that, but like understanding that volumes are probably going to increase, like I think I
Okay.
kind of like it.
And what about
And
Joe
the other
Pegs?
piece, yeah, I mean that those two. So do you wanna pull that up?
What's the
I was
website?
actually just
joepeg.com or
pegs PEGS.
joepegs.com?
Yeah. So like I was just this honestly, this was like when I was just painfully waiting for the merge at like 2 a.m. cross-eyed because I'd been awake so long. I was just clicking random stuff on Joe. And
Yeah.
like I was like, wow, this is like kind of legit. Like their NFT platform like looks pretty sweet. I
Yeah, I
started to
tried
like
it. I
be like
tried to
wonder,
buy these two, Small Joes and Small Lands. I bought a
yeah.
few and I was like, wow, this is really seamless. And then I just bought some Joe. But now you have me more
Oh,
FOMO on PTP, so I feel like I should get that instead.
well, no, I mean, I'm
Or
pretty
maybe
bullish on
both.
the whole ecosystem. See,
Yeah, yeah.
when I
Okay,
get
AVAX,
bullish
come
on
back.
stuff though, there's normally reasons. And like so like I honestly was in the JPEGs, and I was just like,
Yeah,
hey, like I started searching like, hey, like which ones have the biggest volumes, and then I started
yeah,
looking at them. I was like, well, this is kind of weird, like small Joes, like what
yeah.
is this? You click on it and it's like
Dude, there's a
100 small
scientist.
Joes hand drawn, and it's like I always love when like projects are like, hey, like wrote no roadmaps or like a little bit cocky about stuff, and the
Hmm.
like I kind of got that vibe. It's like don't bother asking for a roadmap. Paper hand's not gonna make it. Like I love that cockiness type
Is this the
stuff.
Joe
Like
team
just
though? Like the
it
Trader Joe
is.
team released these?
Yeah. So like these small
Okay.
Joes,
So it's
there's 100 items.
yeah,
There's 83 owners. So I feel like they're pretty distributed.
yeah.
Like unless people are just buying them across
Well, I
wallets.
bought a few, but
And
yeah.
yeah, exactly. So you're the one other owner probably outside the other 83. But
There you go.
like the reason like I started looking at these though, I'm like all right, like what are these? Like popped in the Discord, like pulled up their Twitter. Their Twitter like promises utility. Well, it doesn't like
Okay.
promise it. It teases it. I'll say it teases it, where it says like small utility in like all caps, and then like just another tweet like 2 weeks later it says utility. So I feel like utility is coming. This is built by the Joe team. There's only 100 of them, and like I mean, they're probably going to get, I would assume, maybe swap fees or like royalties or something like that off this platform. But like, I
Okay.
mean, either way, like
That'd
there's
be
100
cool.
of them. It's by the Joe team. They're like, I don't know, 200 AVAX or something like that. And small land, like they've done some airdrops to small Joe holders. They've did small land, which I scooped a few of. There's only 200 of those. And then
Yeah.
like small APAs and small creeps.
What are
But
small
like
creeps?
so there's like a bunch of lore behind this. Like I just
Okay.
scooped these like a merge day, so like you can't give me too much shit for not knowing all of this.
Yeah.
But like they do like a bunch of lore, and there's like somewhat of a war going on between like the creeps and the Joes or something like that. But like I don't fully know yet, so I'm still
Okay.
learning. I was just like buy these now, ask questions later.
All right. All
So
right. I like it.
those are
Okay,
like
so
yeah,
to summarize AVAX ecosystem, if you're into it, PTP
pop
seems
in.
to be like incoming with some decent fees, so check their Discord and hound them to find out when we get those fees. And Trader Joe has V2 launching, and they just launched an NFT marketplace, and some of these NFTs may or may not have utility, but no one knows.
And I would say the other one just to keep in mind is Vector. I mean, like
Oh,
that's a
right.
leverage bet really on both, like
Yes.
because they
They're
own so much of
accumulating
each. Like,
Joe and PTP. I see. Okay.
Exactly. So like
I
that
like
one,
it.
that one's a pretty good one as well. But that's my AVAX ecosystem. Super
Nice.
bullish. Need the markets to turn,
Have you
but
looked
when they
at
do,
have
like
you looked at other
it's gonna be
ecosystems?
nice.
Like what about like I looked at Near the other day and I saw every project on there is
I
like
love Near.
it's like
I,
completely KO'd. Like Bastion raised 13
yeah.
million dollars and it trades at like I think lower market cap than what it raised from VCs, not even from like public or anything like that. If you take all the fees
Yeah.
from the lock drop and all that kind of stuff, I was in their Discord trying to find out where the fees are, but I couldn't get a link to the treasury. But I feel like if someone did the work here, there could be like something broken about Bastion. And if that's
Yeah.
broken, maybe all the other ones are broken too, but I don't know. I've
I
been like
like
pretty off risk, so.
have you ever used Aura? It's like the ETH, it's like kind of like ETH Near. Like it's like it's
Oh,
kind of
yeah,
separate
yeah.
chain, but it's
You just switch
like
an
the token doesn't
RPC.
really do anything. It's like you still use like Near, but it's like
Okay.
it's like it's part of Near is how I
Okay.
understand it. But like it's like the cleanest chain I've really like ever used, and that's my Near experience. Like when I use like Aura, I'm like this is like what ETH like its next version should feel like because it's so quick, it's stupid cheap, like everything is like super seamless. Like I loved using Aura. This is my
Mm-hmm.
favorite chain I think I've ever used. So like I'm bullish on Near for simply that reason. But like I haven't spent much time on it. Like I have like every time I
Yeah.
look at Near, I'm like, there's just not much here yet. So
Yeah.
like
That's when
I
I
just
gotta spend
don't
time
feel
on it.
like their redemption's like
Yeah.
back yet.
I remember
Near's
people were so
one,
bullish on it, and everyone was saying the team is like amazing. And I think even during the merge, the near guys put out like some good docs and some good stuff. So I remember people saying they're
yeah.
very smart, but I haven't. I also never went deep on the ecosystem. So
Well, so like I actually got in a bit of hot water, I would say, by like calling out the near team and VCs because like when it first like when everyone was stupid bullish and there was that hype train going on, there were like decent sized like unlocks that were like actually happening for these VCs who were like well over 100x and
oh
like
wow,
it,
and they're
like
all
the
selling.
chain was like thirteen billion dollars and there was zero projects launched on it. It's like how is this holding up? And it's
Yeah,
like it was felt like Solana to me where it's like
yeah.
hey, like I'm just waiting for each unlock date to just get my head dumped on, and like I feel like that's where Near is. But
Mm-hmm.
like feel like I
Yeah, it's
feel
then you
like the
focus on the
next run,
projects, I guess.
it's gonna be like a beast. So I mean that's one that you kind of got to keep eyes on, find positions to enter. But I'm super bullish on it, but it was super overvalued. But now that
Right.
I look at it, it's like 3 billion. That's really not that crazy. Like I mean, it, it's right next to it's right next to Terra Luna Classic, which we all know is worth 3 billion.
Right, right.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah,
Uh,
maybe Near is a decent rotation. I know you like these ones, so after AVAX, you can take a look at Near. That's sick.
yeah, I mean, Near's one to keep an eye on for everybody out
Yeah,
there, but I don't have much advice on where to go like each project wise.
yeah. So
But
then, what's the next project? Anything else you want to talk about?
um, I mean, I had AVAX and like some of the meta stuff. Like I mean, I said I'm like still playing all the meta stuff.
Okay.
Like everything I keep hearing on that is like that Ave's coming, but it's almost
Okay.
like a meme at this point that Ave's coming. It's like I mean, like I look at those plays though, and like when you see like what
So you
happened to
think Ave will
Optimism
be a
when
big
Ave showed up,
catalyst for Metis?
massive dude, absolute
Okay.
massive. Like I mean, that's like what really kicked off. If you look at it, like that's really what kicked off like Optimism.
Right.
So like when like they started doing like the OP rewards and everything like that, like it was fine, but like they needed to clear out all the capital from like their airdrop, and then they launched Aave, and that's when like all of the Aave whales like started to go that direction, and like their on-chain stable coins like went absolutely nuts. Like it was, hold on, I'll actually send it to you. I had a chart like actually bookmarked from Optimism, but like their stable coins on chain did like hundreds of millions piled in.
Right.
So like
Like
I'm
everyone will
expecting something
chase the Ave
similar.
yields right onto Metis. So then a bunch of stables
Exactly.
will
They don't
show.
really
Yeah.
care. Yeah, they don't care exactly where they are, but that's why I'm bullish on Hum. It's like they're actually up to like 600K like daily in volumes. You get a
Yeah.
haircut on it. So I'm just stacking V Hum. Like all these people are leaving and bailing, like the market cap's crashed, but it's like I don't care because I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure when Aave shows up, like we're gonna be good because all like there's gonna be so much stable coin volume and the only place to swap it right now is through Hum.
I see. And
Or
you're
at least
saying
swap it
this
with
Is these candles August 6th, August 7th when they launched Aave on
It
Optimism?
Yeah, this actually isn't the chart that I really wanted though. Like I wanted a like over time, not daily. Do you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah, that's what I was saying. Well,
Yeah,
it still
there's
kind of
like
shows what you
uh,
want to show. I don't know
no,
if you
no
tell me the
oh, actually
dates.
go to total market cap. You see where it says USD
Oh
inflows?
yeah, okay.
Go to like total market cap and it'll show it. But like
So
yeah,
you're
you
saying
can
this
see like
growth,
almost a
this was
day, like that August. Yeah, yeah. So
okay.
like it went from like 200 million to like 1.2 billion or
Three.
something like that.
So,
So like that's a
yeah.
ton of stables coming in. And it's like, hey, like that's they're like the Metis team has said like if we can get them that like we're gonna like over incentivize them. So like I imagine that like also they were trying to partner with the relay guys to build a bridge directly from Optimism to Metis, which is super
Wow.
obvious that they're just trying to steal a lot of that capital from like Aave, in my opinion, but or from Optimism. But
Yeah.
I mean that makes me super bullish on Hum, and it's just like a matter of weeks. Like, do I
Okay.
mind like a big drawdown? Not really,
Yeah.
because I'm just stacking VM Hum anyway. Same with Hermes. It's like all of this volume's coming, but we're all waiting for Aave. So I mean that's my Metis. Like I no, I
Okay.
haven't left. Yes, I'm
And
still bullish.
how does this not become like an event for exit liquidity? Like, do you think once Aave shows up, all of it stays there and swap volumes go up suddenly on Metis? Like, what I don't get is like, why does a user say, okay, I'm gonna go use Metis? Like, is there a reason for me to keep my money safe there? Like, it just feels like, oh, there's this one Aave farm, and then once it's
I mean,
over, I
they're
dip.
doing they're doing some cool stuff. So like I'll say like one of the Aave guys, I don't know which one, is like a advisor to Metis, which makes me pretty bullish that it's gonna pass governance and everything else. But also like they're doing a lot with like soulbound tokens there. So I could see them trying to use Metis as like a ground to do something pretty cool with lending, like
Mm-hmm.
working with the Aave team. The Metis team also announced that they were like building ZKs, like, so like if you're trying to get a little bit early to a ZK roll up like narrative, like I
Yeah.
think like that's a reason to use Metis. Also, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say like I feel like ETH's a little bit oversubscribed lately heading into
Yeah.
the merge. Like I think we've seen
A
that.
little bit.
So like it's kind of like, hey, do I want ETH security? And like a token that isn't ETH is probably Metis is probably your best bet as an L2 that has its own token.
Right.
So like I mean those are probably the top three things that like come to mind. But I mean, in the end, it is another chain. So I think there's a lot more bullish catalyst there than not though. I mean, if
Mm-hmm.
like all of a sudden like a ton of capital flows in, they swap a ton, I make a decent amount on Helmus, and then they all go to leave, like they're probably gonna swap on their way out too because
Right.
like bridges aren't super
Yeah.
easy. So I mean, from my
I could see it.
perspective, like
Yeah, I could see it for like
it's
collecting those fees in that window. Um,
yeah,
but for like long term, I do feel like it needs a little more like really like when I look at what makes a person use a chain, it's like a lot of apps people want to use. Like I feel like we had Barachain, like their biz dev team is just so good. They have so many people that are going to come
yeah,
build
they're
there that
the
there's going to be a
beast.
lot of apps that I want to go on that chain and use because it'll be fun. But I don't
Yeah.
feel like Metis or some of these other chains like have that ability to wrangle together devs to make fun things. It's like, okay, cool, you launch. Imagine if like a new phone producer came and didn't launch like iOS or Android, and they would have to get a bunch of people to come
Oh,
make good
phone.
apps on their phone, right? Otherwise, no one
Yeah,
would
it's
use
a
it.
lot of phone.
It's not a phone. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. But no, I agree with you. And I think Metis is like 95% forks. So like
Yeah,
I mean
yeah,
it's like, hey, are they building cool stuff? Like I hope so. And I think that's like a lot of what their grant programs for.
hmm
Like but I mean I'm playing the narratives currently. Like and I think there's a lot of decent ones in the near term, but like it does count on the team to execute on pulling in cool stuff, like making a more innovative chain long term. And like I mean obviously we saw that Metis fell apart the last time it got a ton of hype. So hopefully they do better than that. But I completely agree with you there.
yeah.
And
Okay, sick.
honestly, 2x on the Barachain stuff. Like those guys are
Yeah, I love
beasts,
them.
and I've started to spend more and more time on it. And like it's
Yeah,
insane to me every time I have a conversation about like I mean the two things that blow my mind are like they always have like massive ideas like that I don't hear very many other places. Like
yeah, they're trying stuff.
it's all custom. Yeah, they're trying stuff, which is like very cool to me that they're actually going out of their way to say like, hey, we want to do this better than everyone else. Here's our ideas. Like you don't see that very often. Like it's not where can I make a quick buck. It's like, hey, like we're building and it's cool stuff. So
Yeah. Here,
I
one
think
sec.
that's
I
number
actually
one.
want
And
to show this. But it's pretty cool. Like there is a huge list. Look up this guy. But there's a huge list of projects that are already building on there, and this chain hasn't even launched. So I'm like, how did all these projects even show up? Which is
yeah, I
really cool.
mean, they've been like, yeah, I've even talked to Smokey and he's like,
Yeah,
hey, here's like some of the things that we need on chain. And like they're going out and talking to all of those things beforehand. Like I think Bear is going to be one. It's going to hit the ground running more than most. So
yeah,
like I'm pretty pumped about it.
yeah.
Yeah, I yeah,
Sick.
I
Okay.
I'm excited about that one. And their community, literally like every single post I have, there's something about a bone or a bear. So
I love
they're
it.
consistent.
Yeah, I love it. Okay. Next thing I actually want
What
to talk
else do you
about
got?
was,
Yeah,
yeah, there's a few actually I wanted to touch on. I know we're like so over time, but I'm like, whatever, let's just get
okay.
through it all.
Forever
Um,
do.
so Art Gobblers, this is like a NFT project. I saw that I actually met Dave at NFT NYC, and he gave me the rundown. I thought like it was so awesome. Basically Paradigm is making their own NFT project, and I think like they've never really like made a project and released it to the public before with like this high quality or amount of effort. Like they've done experiments or they've written some code and like all of it's been really cool, but it's never been like we are building this and we are launching this and you should come try it. And like this is like one of the first times I've seen them do that, so that's exciting. And then who they're working with is like the creator of Rick and Morty, so I'm like, damn, like the Rick and Morty
Oh,
bro
yeah.
plus Paradigm are about to launch an NFT, and the total supply is 2,000. Like this thing is gonna be crazy, right? So I've been like,
Is there a whitelist or like
yeah.
how do you
Well,
how do
I
you get on?
thankfully I got whitelisted. After I
Yeah.
like tried to help him as much as possible, met up with Dave and things like that. I joined their Discord, and so I have one, but I want more than one, you know.
Yeah.
But this thread is really good. If anyone's interested, just look up like Dave White. He works at Paradigm, and he kind of explains the how the thing works. But the idea is basically artists come and they can draw art, and they've made like a browser based system where it's really easy to draw art. And you draw this art onto pages, and then people have gobblers, and the gobblers can eat the pages, and then the art gets displayed on the gobbler's tummy. And in order to draw a picture on a page, you need to get a page. And the only way to get a page is to use to mint it using goo. And to get goo, you have to have a gobbler. So the gobblers will like shit out goo, and when you stake them, and then you take that goo, and then you can use that goo to mint pages. And then that's kind of like how the Ponzi or the game works.
Can you only do it once? Like can you
No,
only draw
you
once? Yeah.
yeah, I
Or
think you can only draw once per page. Not 100% sure. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But you have to have a page for the gobbler to like, swallow it and display it in its tummy. And what's cool is they didn't just like make this game that's like just some like staking Ponzi, but they created a new emissions model for Goo, which is pretty cool. It kind of reminds me of like the VE Hum kind of tokenomics, where it's like if you hold your gobbler, you'll continue to have the same amount of goo as long as you don't sell that goo in terms of like percent of the network. So you're not getting deflated in terms of your ownership. So you don't have to like theoretically continuously sell your goo. You can keep it and use it and burn it and feel safe like holding it. So I would look at that here. It's called gradual ownership optimization is what goo is. And they have a whole write up on like how it works, and it's actually like it's really well written and interesting, and they obviously like put thought into it. Like these guys do their work. So if
I
they're
mean,
releasing
I love
something,
this.
like it's gonna be
Yeah.
good. And this trailer is freaking hilarious. Like let me
Eyes
turn the
are
sound on.
Oh,
open.
yeah, I mean, I'm in on this.
I'm
This is like
collecting
Dave
my
probably went to
goo.
Burning Man and did like too many
Oh, I
drugs,
just
and they
have.
came up with Teletubbies for NFTs, is what it sounds
Yeah.
like. But
It's just it's
this
just so
is so
much fun,
funny.
and it has so much brain behind it, and it has so much good marketing behind it. Like Rick and Morty is awesome. Like obviously it's the marketing is good. Like it's fun. Like I don't know. I just haven't seen
Well,
something like
yeah.
this in a long time. So I'm really excited for Gobblers. I would read through this thread. And T11's the bro from Rari has been working on it with Dave White. So really good. Just like brains and art coming together, and I feel like that's what crypto's
What's
all about. So.
what's his role at Paradigm? I don't know him.
I think
Like
he's just like a
I wasn't even
researcher.
following him.
Like they get him
Hmm.
to like optimize contracts and build fun stuff like this. I don't think he's like an investor. I feel
Yeah.
like if I was at Paradigm, I would want to be a researcher. Like that's the fun piece, you know? Like they're on the forefront trying things, pushing the space forward. When I asked Dave like why they did this, he was like, "Hey, we're like so well known in DeFi, and we like build so much cool stuff there, but NFT Twitter doesn't really appreciate how much we can do. So I think this is them like, you know, putting their foot down and saying, look, we can add a lot of value to the NFT space too, and let's prove it. So I'm excited to see this
Yeah.
happen.
I like it. When's this happen again? Did you say?
I don't know the exact dates, but it's like definitely in the very near future. Um, yeah, and I think the
Oh,
way they're releasing the gobblers is on this new mechanism they built. It's called a variable rate gradual Dutch auction. So not only Goo, but also the way the NFTs come out is issued very interestingly. It kind of reminds me of like nouns, where it's not like all of them are out right away, but they like
yeah.
will slowly show up. But yeah, there's a bunch of like giga brain shit in here too. But I would say take a look at that project. It's definitely one I'm excited for. Um, and then the other project I wanted to bring up was we talked about Barachain already, right?
Yeah.
Sentiment. So Sentiment is launching soon. I'm pretty excited for them. Do you know Gearbox? It's like
Yeah, I do.
it's quite similar to I think Gearbox V2. Um, and I invested in these guys and I really love them. I've done a few calls with them, but what they're doing is
The Gearbox
it
guys?
no, Sentiment.
Okay.
So Sentiment is they're launching on Arbitrum soon. They're actually doing a Twitter Spaces with Arbitrum in the coming weeks. So you know the Arbitrum team like likes them and is working with them. So they're a project I'm excited for, especially maybe if there's like a Arbitrum airdrop or something like that. I feel like they'll get like a good airdrop and then be able to use it, but I'm not really sure, of course. I don't know what the method is going to be. Hopefully similar to optimism, where it's like TVL based, but no one knows. I think we talked about it in our last call with
Yeah.
the PLS bro. But anyways, Sentiment new project on Arbitrum. Essentially, what they're doing is you can come in and you can leverage borrow as long as you're using contracts they whitelist. So what lets you do is like put in $10 and get like $100 of farming power without getting liquidated. Well, you could get liquidated, but you just do it all with stables, so it's like much harder to get liquidated. It's kind of like Alpha Homora, but it whitelists the contracts that can be used. And then I think they're going to make it permissionless. So that's really cool. And what they're going to do, I don't know if they've announced this yet, so they might cut my head off if I talk about it. But what they're going to do is they're going to open up deposits soon for people to lend on Sentiment. And then I think all of the lenders are insured up to 10 million, so they're going to make it like zero risk. And I think if you do the math on the yields, like if they get 10 million lending power and 2 mil deposited using their various farms, then the APR on that 10 million will be something like 10% and fully insured. So I think that's like, you know, pretty
Yeah.
good yield for stable lenders,
Hmm.
and it'll provide a really good product for people that want to borrow. And if you leverage loop into the farms, I think you will be able to get like 15 or 20% like safely and properly. So that's an exciting project I think people should keep their eyes on, and that's coming to Arbitrum soon. I think I had like a list of other ones that I was
I'm
gonna
expecting to
bring up.
hear a lot more about the Arbitrum airdrop very soon.
I
Like,
hope so. I'm looking
I
forward
mean,
to
now
that
that the
one.
merge is over, like I feel like that's probably one of the ones that was like kind of waiting. Like they
Yeah.
wanted that to be taken care of, and now like I feel like Arbitrum season goes full swing pretty soon. So
Hmm.
like I'm expecting to hear more. I don't really know. Like I have nothing that's leading me in that direction, but I really expect Arbitrum to do well over Friday.
Yeah.
Like outperform a lot of the stuff on ETH in my opinion. But
Yeah. Yeah, the other two I was going
um
to bring up were Fluidity and Brahma. I don't have a lot you can do on those yet, but I just keep my eye out. Fluidity is launching really soon, and Brahma, I like their vaults, but I'm waiting for them to come up with some new vaults. When I just talked to their team recently, and they built this like thing where you can deposit into a convex farm, and then depending on what happens to the curve LP, it can auto pull for you. So like in the UST situation, it could have seen that like, oh, UST went to 98 cents, auto pull it. So I think that's good for farming these like coins and convex that are not fully backed. And they always have like higher yields, but you're always worried that like, what if it depegs? So you
yeah.
can like put money into their vault and you can choose the convex farm you want to be part of. And then you can set your parameters like, oh, this thing traded to the stable is down to like 99 cents, just pull all my liquidity. So in the middle of the night while I'm sleeping, if it's depegging, it's gonna save me. So I like that idea, and they're coming up with that soon. So I'm waiting for that, and then we can talk about it more and try to use it.
Y2K is doing something extremely similar, like on Arbitrum too. So it's pretty much the same, allowing you to
the new order thing, right?
Exactly, yeah. And like, I mean, they've just put out like teaser videos and like, it's pretty cool. It's very similar though. Like you can kind of hedge some of your risk, or even just like bigger stable coins that are moving. But like, I mean, there's some pretty like innovative stables that are kind of taking place on Arbitrum. So like, I mean, you have USDS, which is like the SpareX guys that we kind of chatted about with like Plutus and EtherSoul. I mean, you have like DPX USD that's been teased forever. So like some of those are like going to come to fruition here like pretty soon. But like being able to hedge some of that risk, like I think some of these projects can be pretty cool ideas. So you can keep to zero IL and like make sure that you're not taking big risks on some of these underlying assets. But I like them. Keep an eye on Y2K as well. Should be coming soon.
All right, I feel like we really talked our faces off on that one.
I think my jaw hurts just from absolutely disgust. I mean, honestly, we went way deeper into AVAX than I was planning to, but like I'm a small Joe Maxi now. I'm part of the team, so
all good.
It happens.
I love it. Yeah, well, now I think I'm a small Joe whale and a bland whale too. So, dear Joe team, hopefully you guys take care of those NFTs when you do this Joe Pegs marketplace launch. Cool. All right.
Or else.
Yeah, or else.
He's a big Joe.
I'm a big Joe now. All right. Appreciate everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Good chatting. I'll end it here. Bye.
Peace.